Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Elul Tuf Shin Pei. Delighted to welcome you all this evening. Thank you for taking the time for joining us. It is of course, a special and also very unusual time. Usually this week we are preparing for the Kollel's annual kickoff event, or what we call the summer event. And at that time, it's an opportunity to introduce to our community, our greater Chicagoland Jewish community, the new families who have risked life and limb to move here to the Midwest, to the frozen tundra of Chicagoland. And this year, due to this very unusual pandemic that we are still contending with, B'siyata D'Shmaya, we are not going to be having an in-person summer event, and there will be information forthcoming instead about a cause match, an online opportunity to support the Kollel. So instead, this evening, together with all of you, we have the opportunity for a virtual meeting, a virtual meet and greet with two phenomenal couples who are joining us, and I will be spotlighting them on the screen. The first who's going to be coming up on your screen right now, it's Rabbi Noach and Alexis Goldstein, who will introduce themselves shortly. They are currently living in West Rogers Park. And next, coming up on your screen, our newest Skokie couple, Rabbi Noah, not to be confused with Noach, Noach and Noah, Rabbi Noah and Yafa Wittenberg. So we thank them not just for taking the time out to this evening to be here with us virtually and to share a little bit with all of us as a community, but really the incredible Mesiras Nefesh and the remarkable efforts, the Herculean efforts that they have made to transition to a new community without family in this community, to become part of our Kollel during this really unbelievable time, is an incredible testament to their strength, their commitment, and their passion to the mission and the vision of our Kollel. So without any further ado, I'd like to turn this over for a moment first to Rabbi Goldstein and to his wife Alexis. Rabbi Goldstein will introduce himself a little bit about where he's coming from intellectually, his learning, and his, I guess you could say, his spiritual mooring, in addition to a little bit about their family. We are excited that Rabbi Goldstein is going to be our inaugural Rosh Beis Medrash, which is a new opportunity, a new presentation that we have. He's going to be serving in this capacity in a leadership role, and this special opportunity is brought to us by the Friedman family in memory of Aaron and Rivka Friedman, Aleichem Hashalom. So we're delighted to welcome you, and please share a little bit about yourself and your family. Welcome, Rabbi Goldstein. Shalom Aleichem. Good evening.
Aleichem Shalom, Rabbi Brand. Thank you for the introduction, and thanks everyone for logging in. We're fresh off the boat, or technically car, from the Upper West Side, where we were living the last 2 years. Before that, we were in Washington Heights. We were at the Jewish Center. First, I was rabbinic intern, then resident scholar, and then assistant rabbi for a couple of years. And at the same time, I was a fellow in the Wexner Kollel Elyon at YU. I was at YU for a number of years before that, smicha, college, high school, with a 2-year break in between to learn in Gush. And so it's very exciting to be out of New York and have people be very welcoming and friendly. You want to say anything yourself?
Alexis, would you want to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about the kids?
No, talk about our family, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I'm Alexis. I'm originally from New Jersey. Went to Shalavim for seminary, went to Penn undergrad, and then went to Columbia for graduate school. I currently am working remotely for UJA Federation of New York, and we have 2 young sons, Yehoshua and Ozzy, and we're all, that's our family.
Disclaimer, it's possible that Yehoshua will burst out from behind us in the middle of this event, so you may see him live.
It could get exciting. So we're thrilled to be here as part of the West Rogers Park community, as part of the greater Chicagoland Jewish community, and of course, as part of the Kollel community. So thanks for having us.
And I think that you mentioned, Alexis, that you're from East Brunswick originally, and I'm from Teaneck.
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you both. Heading north to Skokie, to the Wittenbergs. Welcome. Shalom Aleichem. Rabbi Wittenberg, do you want to take a moment to introduce yourself a little bit from your journey, and then share the spotlight with Yafa?
Sure. Thank you so much. So I as Rabbi Brand very aptly put it, it's been a journey. I'm originally from Portland, Maine. And as I like to say, some people tell you when you're in Skokie, you have to go north, south, east, west. So I can't remember that. I know that I'm either going towards Portland, Maine, or I'm going away from Portland, Maine. So some people go towards, I go towards Portland, Maine. And from there, I went to Rutgers University, where I got my degree in communication. And then after Rutgers, I decided that I wanted to pursue my smicha. So I went to Yeshiva University. And then I spent 4 years there, 3 years in the New York-based medrash, 1 year in the Grus Yerushalayim-based medrash. Then we came back, and I spent a year as a rebbe in Highland Park, New Jersey, at a school called RPRY, the Rabbi Pesach Ramin Yeshiva. And then I decided I really wanted to go back to learning a little bit, and I still wanted to keep developing those teaching skills. So now we've officially moved to Skokie, Illinois.
Beautiful. Thanks. Yafa, you want to talk a little bit about where you're coming from and the kids?
Yes.
You have a very exciting home, Baruch Hashem.
I'm originally from Teaneck, New Jersey, so it's no Portland, Maine, but I went to Tiferet for seminary, then I went to Stern for college, then I went to Hunter College for a master's in, I have a dual master's in general ed and special education. I will be working in Ari Crown this year as a third grade teacher. Yes, on the screen is our 3 kids, Nessia, who's 19 months, and then our 2-month-old twins. And yeah, what? Oh, sorry. And the one that's wearing like the little sprinkly outfit, that one's Gabriella. The one that's wearing the like mauve color outfit, that one's Libby. And yeah, we're just really excited to be here.
Beautiful. So let me take that off for a second. So maybe in the spirit of Elul, Rabbi Wittenberg, maybe you want to share a little something with us, a little Torah thought to give everybody a little insight into your perspective on this important time as we approach the Yom Noraim.
Sure. So I was thinking about what I could share, what I wanted to share, and I figured I would share something actually from the Chavetz Chaim on Torah, because it's a meet and greet the fellows event, and so the one way to, I guess, get to know us is get to know where we like to look for sources, and the Chavetz Chaim happens to be my favorite because he's short, he's to the point, and he's very, very meaningful. So the Chavetz Chaim on this week's parsha and on Parshas Kitavo talks about the psukim, or the psukim that we read in the Pesach Haggadah actually come out of this week's parsha. So the pasuk says that v'nitzach el Hashem Elokei Avoseinu, that we cried out to Hashem, the God of our forefathers, v'yishma Hashem es kolenu, and he heard our voices, v'yaras anyenu, and he saw our suffering, v'es amalenu, v'es lachadzenu, and our hard work and the way we were being pushed. And then it says that he took us out of Mitzrayim. So the Chavetz Chaim points out that the word that the pasuk uses is that he heard kolenu. He heard our voices. He didn't hear tefilosenu. He didn't hear our tefillah. He didn't hear our prayer. But rather, he heard our voices. And he says that the reason that it chose the word kolenu is because the reason our prayers, our tefillos, were answered so quickly is because it was so sincere. We cried out. We used our voice. And so he actually quotes the Medrash that says there are some prayers that are answered in a day, some in 2 days, a week, a month, a year. It takes different time, and the Chavetz Chaim says the difference between those tefillos is how much emotion's in them. Are you crying or are you davening? And one thing that spoke to me as I reread over this piece in the Chavetz Chaim on Al Torah is my note on the side. And my note on the side says, "Are you davening or are you crying?" And so I thought it was a very good way to frame my year and to frame all of our years. That I know for me personally, I have a whole list of things that I want to get out of the year. I have goals in learning, I have goals in teaching, I have goals in midos, I have goals in everything. And on the one hand, I could hope for it, I could pray for it, I could try to work for it, or I could cry for it. I could put everything I have into it, and hopefully through that hard work and with the help of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, I'll have a very successful and a very meaningful year. We could all have a very successful and very meaningful year.
Amen. We're certainly hoping for that and crying for that with you. Let's head back to West Rogers Park. Rabbi Goldstein, a thought for us this Elul?
So in a couple of weeks, we're going to begin saying slichos, which is always hard to believe that, what, it's already coming up. And we're going to say ashamnu, the vidui, day after day. We're going to beat our chests and say all the things that we've done wrong, climaxing on Yom Kippur when we add the al chaitz and we go into even more detail as to what we do wrong. That's what a vidui is, right? We think, we confess our guilt. It's a confession. So if we look at the beginning of this week's Parsha Kisavo, we find the most surprising thing. We're told a mitzvah that after every 3 years, after every cycle, when you completed giving all the masrot that you were supposed to give, so the Torah says you walk into the Beis HaMikdash and you announce that you've done all the mitzvahs that Hashem wanted you to do. Maser Rishon, Maser Sheni, Maser Ani. You walk up to Hashem and you say, Kadosh Baruch Hu, I did everything you asked me to do. And the Mishnah describes this as a vidui. It's called vidui masros. And the question is, we know what a vidui is. A vidui is when you come in and you say what you did wrong. What on earth does it mean to have a vidui, which is what you did right? And it would be like if we walked in on Yom Kippur and we walked into shul and we said, Hashem, let me tell you all the amazing things I did this year. It just doesn't seem to fit. So the Malbim has a comment. He says it, doesn't make a big deal about it, but when I saw it, I thought this is transformative for our perspective towards Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And he says, you shouldn't think of vidui as confessing what you did wrong. The real translation of vidui is the report you make before the judge. You walk up to the judge and you make a report. Here's what I did. Here's what I did that was right. Here's what I did that was wrong. Here's where I need work and here's where I don't. And I thought the difference between thinking of vidui as a confession and a report is something that can make all the difference for Rosh Hashanah, because a confession is something you make under pressure, under duress. You feel down, you feel guilty, you're being attacked by the lawyer on the other side, and you say, I confess. But there's nowhere to go after that. You feel resentful for being forced to revisit your past, and you don't feel empowered moving into the future. And what a report is, the way vidui is, if we think of it along the lines of the Malbim, is the exact opposite. We walk up to Hashem, who's not accusing us, the exact opposite. It's an opportunity for us to revisit our year and think, what have we done right? What have we done wrong? We talk to Hashem quietly, because the halacha is that vidui is supposed to be said quietly. And we work together looking at ourselves, figuring out where we need to improve, and let's collaborate and figure out how we can go forward into the coming year. And especially with this year, as Rabbi Brand said before, year of unprecedented times, right? You're not Yotze in the Corona era unless you mention that we're in unprecedented times. So during a time like this, to have the opportunity on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the Yamim Noraim, Aseres Mechuva, to look at how we're living, take stock of our lives, our priorities, what things look like, and be able to resolve with Siyata Deshmaya, again, as Rabbi Brand said before, to figure out where we want to improve, what things are going to look like in the coming year. We should look at not as a threat, but really as an unbelievable opportunity.
Thank you so much. It's an important perspective in terms of balancing the positive and the challenges. I don't know if people could see before, so I just pulled it up right now to get a picture of the full Goldstein family, Yosh at the top left and Ozzy bottom center. Can you guys see it there? We see it now. Okay, great. Maybe for a moment, we'll switch gears a little bit out of Torah to something a little more, I guess, a little bit more laid back. We'll head back to West Rogers Park for a second, and now continuing with the Goldsteins. Is there something, sometimes if you would be at the summer event, people would say, hey, what's something interesting about you? Is there something that people might not know if they just met you in a shiur or had you for, a kiddush in the backyard, socially distanced, something like that? What is it that people, if they knew you well, might say, or an episode that might be interesting from your experience as a couple that you might want to share? I'm going to send a spotlight back to you guys now. Anything fun that you want to share that's happened to you, interesting over the past couple of months during this very interesting time? Anything unusual? I mean, living on the Upper West Side during a pandemic itself is probably highly interesting.
Yeah, in terms of a personal fact that's surprising, so I wish I could say that I was the captain of my high school basketball team, but that was actually Alexis. Anything? What?
Your nose.
My nose?
Your nose.
Oh, the fun fact about me is I have no sense of smell, but that was before
Right.
coronavirus came.
Okay. So we have a captain of a basketball team and a kollel rabbi who doesn't smell. So we have to figure out, the Havdalah situation. Back to the Wittenberg. So by Wittenberg, you mentioned that you're from Portland, Maine. I don't know if there are any fun or unusual things that happen in Maine. I suspect it's just kind of like run of the mill, not like Teaneck, which is very, very out there.
Yeah, Maine, it's Maine is so like, middle of the line. We call ourselves in town, and we consider everyone who's not from Maine to be as being unusual. No, it is very unusual being from Maine, and I was actually just thinking about it. The first question that people ask me typically when I say I'm from Maine is, are there Jews in Maine? And the simple answer is there's not really so many Jews in Maine. I grew up, I like to tell people I grew up Jewish. I definitely had a strong Jewish identity. My parents, and more so my grandparents, paid to send me to a day school through the 3rd grade called Levy Day School, which I have a lot of akars tov to. And I was home recently before all this craziness, before my first trip to Skokie, actually, right before my first trip to Skokie, and I made a stop there. But after that, I went to public school, and I grew up a pretty, public school life, you could say. And it wasn't until I went on a birthright trip and I got appendicitis on the birthright trip. I spent Shabbos in the hospital. Fun fact, in the same hospital that my oldest daughter was born in, that I was kind of drawn back to the whole Jewish thing. And then I went to Rutgers, and I became part of the Jewish community, and I eventually went to YU, and I'm still growing and learning and expanding.
That's awesome. Well, Yafa, I have to say, you are not the first kollel mom with twins, but you are definitely the first kollel mom with 3 girls under the age of 19 months. So Yafa can do it. If anyone could do it, Yafa can do it. So you are managing, you're both smiling. All 3 girls must be sleeping, or, I don't know, they're watching TV. What are they doing over there?
Well, we hired my aunt and uncle from Deerfield to come and take care of the twins.
So wait a second, I forgot you do have family here. Okay, never mind. You're easy. You got it easier than the rest of us.
That's sleeping.
Right, that's good. So Noah, tell us a little bit. You had the opportunity to actually visit Chicago and check out the kollel before everything went off the rails with coronavirus. So maybe tell us, what was your perception of the kollel and the community when you came to visit that day?
Well, we keep talking about all these things that we saw when we came to visit, and we're saying that either we hope that they open soon, or we hope that we get to take advantage of them soon. Because part of the tour was not only the schools and the shuls and the different communities that the kollel is a part of, but it was also all these parks and this amazing atmosphere for children that we're hoping to take advantage of. We saw, there was a water park and there was mini golf, and I know some of it's open, so some of it we haven't yet taken advantage of, but some of it we have, and one of the things that we've seen, one of the things that we've loved is that there's so many parks, and you can if one park's a little too occupied because it's Corona, which actually happened to me this past Shabbos, you take a 5-minute walk to another park and it's less occupied. It's been, even though we have 3 children under 19 months, it's been a very conducive environment for making it fun.
Amazing. Now, the Goldsteins, you did not have the opportunity to visit Chicago to check out the kollel. Tell us a little bit about how you made this decision to move to a new community in the middle of a pandemic, when you, thank God, had wonderful lives and lots of great things going on in New York. Your families, I don't know if they're watching this or they will watch this at some point. They were very happy for you to stay in New York. They were not looking for you guys to hightail out to the Midwest. So what was it like trying to make a decision, and how did you come to this decision to come to the kollel and move to Chicago in the middle of a pandemic?
I think the first thing is that the Kollel's reputation really precedes it. So even though we weren't able to visit in person, Rabbi Brand's reputation makes its way to New York. I know people who've been, through the Kollel coming out of Smicha. So that was definitely part one. And then part two was all the conversations, and we had a lot of conversations. It was like we were with the kids who were tearing up the apartment by day, and then we were on Zooms by night with people from the Chicago community, people who knew the Chicago community, and the positivity and warmth and enthusiasm that we got from every single corner was just overpowering. So it really made it a decision that we were thrilled to make.
That's awesome. So maybe, Alexis, even though, thank God, you're able to work remotely for your position in New York, you're really getting settled in a brand new community in this very crazy time. So how has it been as a wife and a mom settling in the neighborhood?
Sure. I would say as a mom, because that was my primary concern in terms of adjustment, it's been, thank God, great. We have a larger space here than we had in Manhattan. And so the kids love having more space. It's also a little more suburban here. And so we're actually going outdoors, and they're going outdoors every single day now and loving it. So they've adjusted really nicely. We have a new nanny that they've adjusted to. So it's all, thank God, it's all really good. And in terms of the community, that I think for us is the hardest part right now, is not being able to connect with community members in the same way that we would have otherwise. But we're certainly trying to meet people in different ways. We are so really thankful to have the meals when we first arrived. And so that was also not only helpful in terms of the food, but a great opportunity to meet people who were texting me and dropping off meals. And then yesterday, we were barely in our apartment on Shabbos. We were outdoors almost the whole day, meeting, taking a tour of the community, hanging out with other young families with young children. So I feel like even though we're not in shul and we're not having larger kollel events, we're still trying and successfully meeting people in the community, which is amazing.
That's awesome. We definitely appreciate that level of Mesirus Nefesh. And maybe we'll send it back. Yafa, do you want to chime in for a second? Tell everybody a little bit about what you're up to this week, specifically work-wise, and how that's going.
Sure. So this week I'm starting to work at Ari Crown. I'm a third grade girls teacher, so we have our orientation week this week.
You want to tell everybody what you're teaching?
Sure. I teach general studies. So I teach English, all the class, math, English, science, social studies, which is kind of new for me this year. Last year, I taught in Torah in Queens, and science was like a special. So this is my first year actually teaching science. So that's exciting. And I'm really just excited to meet my class and meet, my students and everything. And yeah.
And how have you found settling into the greater Chicago community? How's it going, especially with so much going on at home? How's it been for you?
As you said before, if anyone can do it, Yafa can. That's been the motto of the past few weeks. But it's been really, really so nice. Everyone here is really nice. Even aside from the meals, just people who haven't even signed up for the meals, I've been getting phone calls just saying, hi, I just want to introduce myself. And it's just so nice. I was on the phone for an hour with one of the community members just talking. Happens to be her daughter's in my class in the end, so that's exciting. But really everyone is just really so kind and inviting, and even though it's a pandemic, I can't imagine anyone being even more nice.
That's awesome.
And
so Rabbi Wittenberg, that's awesome. So Rabbi Wittenberg, you mentioned that part of your goal in coming here is to continue your growth, and this past week you participated in your first ever YU Torah Mitzion Kollel orientation. And this has been an annual tradition in the Kollel where we have a week focused on skills building and program planning and group dynamic and a whole host of activities. So maybe give people a sense from your perspective as somebody new, what was it that you found interesting or you learned that you didn't expect to find in the orientation this week?
I think I actually made this comment in the orientation, but I stand by it so much, I'm going to make it again, that that in New York, we have the internship. And I was actually I was able to do 2 internships in New York. I was in the Roslyn Synagogue in Roslyn, New York, and I was in Eitz Chaim of Dogwood Park in West Hempstead, New York. And both places I was able to teach, and in both places I pretty much got the same pep talk that I'm gonna give shiur. I'm not gonna be so good at it, but like no one expects anything more of me because I'm the intern. So like just go for it. Good luck. And I would get critiqued afterwards sometimes. But one of the things we had here is we had a whole session committed to looking at different styles of shears and analyzing what style would be good for what. And my addition, because I said that's how my brain works well, is analyzing, okay, who do people normally listen to who like to give this style or give that style, and why does it work? Why does it not work? And it was actually building a skill set that I can hopefully utilize throughout the year, instead of saying, well, you're going to grow throughout the year. So you'll start off bad and then hopefully you'll be good at by the end. And if you're not good by the end, so then we can talk about other professions maybe.
I'm glad you found that meaningful. Let's head back to the Goldsteins. Rabbi Goldstein, you've been very, I guess, well-trained in your professional career, coming from the Wexner Kollel, and coming from the Jewish Center. So is there some experience that you had this past week that you found was enriching or new, something you didn't expect in the orientation?
Yeah, that's a very easy question to answer. I spent 4 years in the Wexner Kollel Elyon, which has, I think, 16 people in it or so. And it was great guys, but we never had any sense of building something as a group. We give shiurim to each other, and then we criticize what everyone had to say. But there was never a sense of the group coming together to build or a common goal that everyone was united around, other than just learning, obviously. But this past week was, I thought, incredibly productive in terms of taking 6 people, and I knew some of the people coming in, some I really didn't know at all, and forging a team and a united consensus that's ready to go to work and ready to do what the most we can for the community. I was amazed. We're thinking about it over Shabbos, just the feeling of camaraderie and excitement and teamwork from the group as a whole was something that just came out of this past week of orientation.
That's awesome. Alexis, did you get that sense when he came home in the evening? I'm sure he was exhausted, but what was your orientation experience this past week, both for hearing from Noah's side, but also from your own?
I think it's been pretty much a parallel process. I've certainly heard it from him, and I feel like I've experienced it in the family events, as well as the Kollel Wives event at your house this past week. It just seems like everyone wants to be a cohesive group, and it's just a really nice group of people who want to work together and want to also be friends. And I feel like if people are collegial and friendly with each other, it makes for a more productive work group. So definitely exactly what Noah said.
I'm so glad. We definitely had a great time. For those who are curious, they're referencing that over the course of orientation, we have opportunities, even though this year we can't do Shabbos together, but to find ways to connect with each other as families. This morning, we all drove out to McHenry, Illinois, and all 6 families, we took our spouses and our kids, and we went picking for apples and peppers and tomatoes. I don't know, back to the Wittenbergs, do you have any plans for what you're using? I don't know how many apples you came home with, but what's the plan for this apple situation in your house?
So for us, we didn't come home with like a huge abundance because Noah does not like cooked apples or baked apples. So the options are limited. It's really just eat an apple. So
It's a good thing it's that kind of season. You'll have some honey, you'll be ready to go for Rosh Hashanah.
exactly.
On the Goldstein side, any thoughts what you're going to do with all? Has Yosh eaten apples already? He's gotten to them?
Yosh has now learned the hard way what a jalapeno pepper is.
Oh!
And he asked me to taste it too, so I got that pleasure as well. But definitely applesauce, maybe a cranberry apple cobbler for Shabbos. We'll see. Definitely
That's
applesauce.
beautiful. Well, one thing I just want to say before we close is how much we, as the returning families, appreciate the generosity of spirit that you both have brought and the open-heartedness that you guys have come to our team with and the interest that you have to become a part of this. And so before I just ask you to share any, thoughts with our broader community, I also want to take this opportunity to thank all those who are watching, who are behind the scenes, the lay leadership, the community members who have enabled us as a kollel not just to exist, but to thrive and to be able to continue to bring families like the Goldsteins and the Wittenbergs, really phenomenal role models for the kollel families who are here, for the members of the community, to be able to seed our community and bring such talented couples, young men and young women, as families to be part of our community. That's thanks to the dedication of our Chicagoland Jewish community. It is this, as you know, this opportunity to be a part of this kollel is a singular one, and it's made possible by the generosity and the investment of an incredible community. And we thank all the members of the community, those who are on this evening, who are watching. And I hope you, all the community members, you feel a sense of pride and nachas at the siyata d'shmaya that we've had, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us these two incredible families. So Rabbi Wittenberg, we're going to send it back to you and Yafa if you want to share any final thoughts for all those who are watching and sharing the evening with us.
Sure. So one of the things that's made the move so much easier, like the Goldsteins we were talking about, like Yaf was also talking about, was the fact that people are constantly coming over and introducing themselves and making their presence known and making our presence felt. And so please keep doing it. We're really enjoying it. Yesterday, I actually got stopped on my way into Shul. Someone who I'd never met before stopped me. He knew who I was and he knew why I was here, and he just wanted to say hello. And it meant so much. And I don't know, one of the hardest things about COVID, amongst all the other hard things, is you don't know where people stand. Do they want you to come over? Do they not want you to come over? Are you those technicalities? We want you to come over. We want you to say hi. We want to feel part of the community. And even though from 6 feet away, and even though we can't come into your homes, we hope that we'll be able to soon. We'll be able to invite you into our homes soon. But for now, we love that you're making us part of the community, and please keep doing it.
Thank you. Rabbi Goldstein?
No, Rabbi Wittenberg stole my thunder. Literally wanted to echo those exact same thoughts. Thanks to the people who've come over and said hello, who've connected or reconnected, who've brought us meals. And yeah, it's always a little bit intimidating and a little bit exciting at the same time when you're in a brand new place. And I get to daven in Kins. We're having indoor minyanim in West Rogers Park. I don't come over to people to introduce myself because I don't know where people stand in terms of they want to come right out of shul after minyan's over, social distancing, etc. But we would love to get as integrated as quickly as possible into the community. So please, email, conversation, whatever it is, we're glad we're here and we're looking forward to being more here.
Beautiful. Okay, so at this time, we're going to wrap up. We're going to thank the Wittenbergs and the Goldsteins for spending the evening with us. And to everyone in the community, we invite you to continue this journey, which we are excited to share with you this Elul and beyond, please God, into 5781. Keep watching your emails, clicking, joining us, whether it's tomorrow night's Zoom Kumsitz or the Shir this week, the Neely Shir with Emma Katz and lots of other programs. Keep an eye out for your emails. If you're not getting the emails, thanks to our new service, please make sure to send us a note